Begin transmission. Hello, everybody. It is Chris, Milton, and Ben, our return on the internet for our Outer Rim transmission. Big episode this week. We have 118 is going to be all about Ahsoka. We have some pretty cool news to talk about with that show right off the top. But first, we are going to welcome back Milton, man. It's been a while. It's been a while for all of us because we took a 2-week hiatus and then you were gone for a couple weeks. So, yeah. What's been going on in your neck of the woods, man?
Oh, I mean, things have been good, man. Just been busy. Obviously, I was gone for one of the weekends was for my birthday celebration. The other weekend was for my niece's first birthday, and obviously, you had some family stuff occur last week. So pretty much that's why usually I'm not here. It's due to family stuff or vacations that are planned. But it's good to be back. It's good to talk Star Wars. I know this is a big week for Star Wars and for Ahsoka premiering this Tuesday night, which is a change. And we'll get into that tonight. But yeah, I'm happy to be back, and hopefully tonight's a great episode.
Oh yeah, there's so much to get into in 60 minutes, and we're gonna do our darnest to get that done. How's it going, Ben?
Yeah, good. I'm kind of in the same boat as Milton, just dealing with doing a lot of different family things lately, and just kind of enjoying the tail end of summer before we get into the fall, and back into the fall swing of things, whether it be the shows. Like, it's nice having Ahsoka come out, during this time period, because it feels like it's like, we're getting back to the old times of back in the day, like the Arrowverse shows starting up in September, and we're getting back into a show like releasing in the fall. So it's kind of a nice feeling getting back into that again.
Oh yeah, I mean, with the whole thing with the industry now is in flux with, the writer
Yeah.
strike, the actor strike, but it's always kind of that thing where they don't usually have big shows happening over summer. I'm talking about, back to like Sopranos or Breaking
Yeah.
Bad and stuff, like Walking Dead. They would all take breaks on summer, and like that first week of like you going back to school,
Yep.
people going back to work in September, it's like that's when people are back to their normal habits of, summer's over, we're gonna settle in. Okay, what's on Sunday night? What's on this week night? Because now we have some downtime where we're not going places, and this feels like the beginning of that. Like, okay, the last week or so of August, we're getting into the groove of Star Wars. Can you believe it? Live action Star Wars. So yeah, I'm hyped for that.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a great way to get back into just back into the fall and back into the flow of things for shows. Like, we have Ahsoka, we have Loki this fall as well. So it's a nice little slate for Star Wars and superhero fans in general.
Yeah, so it's been a couple weeks, so I'm sure we have some Star Wars life adventures and different things that we might want to mention. Now, I know, Ben, you're jumping at the gun to tell us your story, so what's it, man?
Yeah, so I had a really interesting one. So this past week I was just relaxing. I was like, what Star Wars movie do I feel like watching? And I had actually like the day like prior or whatever, I don't know, like I saw, our friend Hannah from the race side, like she's always talking about the Phantom Menace and stuff. So I was like, man, I haven't watched that since, basically, we did our commentary. It's been a long time since I've watched that movie. So I was like, man, I'm gonna have to turn that on. So I watched the Phantom Menace, and while I was watching it, I was like, I started thinking about stuff about it, and I was like, man, I just want to look up the script for this when I'm watching it. So I found the script online, and I was just watching the movie while reading the script, scene by scene with while watching the movie. And I came across some interesting things while reading through the script and watching it at the same time. So I think the most interesting thing of note, though, is when Qui-Gon discovers who Padme is actually. So, obviously, the movie, we know Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, or at least Qui-Gon anyways, is onto it, especially by the end of the movie when she reveals she's Padme, but with the Gungans and stuff. But the interesting part is that it never even crossed my mind at first. And it confirms it in the script actually. So back when Padme and the Queen and the guards and everybody are talking about should we leave or not, at the beginning of the movie, the interesting thing is, so when Padme's the bodyguard, the body double who's playing the Queen, you know,
Sabe?
yeah, Sabe. Yeah, when Sabe like is talking, you know, you have Padme like basically say like whatever she says, like the hand, like, you know, we're with you or
Yeah.
whatever, you know, whatever she says, like, you know, her line basically saying like we're with you, or we're like we're, you know, we're in agreement with you, etc. Like, you know, that's like Padme giving the order to Sabe to say, hey, we're good, I'm good with this plan. And the interesting thing is in the script actually, Obi-Wan doesn't realize it. Qui-Gon realizes it, and it's, you know, it's from like Qui-Gon's perspective. And in the script, it says that like, you know, Qui-Gon notices the handmaiden give the queen the decision, and he thought that was really odd. And Qui-Gon, like, he thought that was really odd that the handmaiden would give the decision to the queen instead of the other way around. So and it said like from that point like forward, you know, Qui-Gon intuitively like knew who had the power in the situation. So basically it was basically saying Qui-Gon discovered she was the queen from the beginning of the movie. So it's like that's an interesting thing like that was in the script. I was like, man, like, so it's cool that they had that in there with her with Qui-Gon discovering that. And then you know, it got me like looking more into that sort of stuff. And it's cool that they actually like, so, you know, we don't have that like direct conversation in the movie of Qui-Gon saying, haha, I know, you know, I know you're the queen. But it's, the interesting thing is, they actually kind of like indirectly canonized that actually from the script, even though it was in the script. So, you know, obviously it's canon, but it's cool that they like indirectly canonized it even more from the what's the book, Chris? The canon book, is it Queen's Shadow? I think it's called. Okay, so in that book, I saw like a passage because when I it got me really going down the rabbit hole of this whole thing. So there's like a passage of Padme's taught, like she's talking about how like the only person that like had ever discovered her being the queen so quickly was like a Jedi Knight named Qui-Gon Jinn or whatever, blah blah blah. And she like referenced that first meeting when Qui-Gon discovered it. Like, so it was cool that they like kind of like indirectly canonized that part of the script into the Queen's Shadow book on top of like that being in the script. So I was like, man, that's a cool little like thing there I discovered.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that you went and searched for the script, I've never thought of doing that. It's really interesting to see, you know,
Yeah, I
because
was just
you.
laying on the couch, you know, just scrolling
Oh,
like as the scenes went by, just reading the script.
wow. And they just have them available for like any movie basically you could do.
Yeah, yeah. So I started looking like you can just look up scripts. Like they have the full scripts for like so many movies. Like most of the Star Wars movies are up. You know, there's obviously like the Trevorrow script out there,
Yeah.
for his Star Wars thing. But yeah. So like I found the Phantom Menace script, and like I said, it was just cool just seeing that. Like I was like, man, that's like, I guess I never even thought of it because, you know, we all knew like Qui-Gon obviously knew like, or at least had a hint of it. But it's cool that like he discovered it like that early on in the movie.
Wow.
So yeah, that was kind of like my week in Star Wars. So I was like, oh yeah, I figured that'd be an interesting little story to tell on
Yeah.
the podcast.
Yeah, that's a good introspection into the character of Qui-Gon. You know, it's there was an interesting thing, and I guess this could be my week in Star Wars now. This kind of piggybacks off yours. What if scenario? I was talking with my comic book dealer, Dale, over at Comic Relief in Lawrenceville, New Jersey, and there was the issue that came out this week was Darth Vader issue 37, and you have Darth Vader on the cover, and behind him you have Qui-Gon, and you have Obi-Wan, and there's a part in the comic book where Vader's having a flashback going back to the teachings of an interaction between him and Qui-Gon from Phantom Menace, and then him sparring against Obi-Wan in actually the Obi-Wan series. So it was interesting. But anyway, he had came up with the idea. He's like, you know, if Qui-Gon trained Anakin and didn't die, Anakin would have never fallen to the dark side, never would have become Darth Vader. And I was like, that is a brilliant thing to think about.
Yeah.
Because like Obi-Wan was not really mature enough to like take him on as a Padawan, because it was basically like Obi-Wan basically just had to get promoted like instantly to even have somebody to teach. So he
By
kinda,
default,
yeah,
basically.
but default he had to become a Jedi Knight at that point. You can't have a Padawan teaching a Padawan. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. Like again, there's like so many Star Wars like what if stories, right? Like another one was like what if Leia was the Jedi and Luke was more of like never got discovered on Tatooine and just didn't even know he was a Jedi and all that sort of thing. So
Yep.
I think those stories are really fun to think about, just like the what if of Star Wars. And we have the what if Marvel. I wouldn't mind like maybe Marvel putting out comics that would do that, because I think at one point Dark Horse did back in the day, but yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a fun one to think about. I mean, because if you think about it, like Qui-Gon was like Anakin's like father figure and all that sort of stuff. So like, yeah, I mean, I feel like Anakin wouldn't have turned, or like just because like Qui-Gon in general, like he was more just like on the edge of like the Jedi stuff, or he was always more skirting the lines of like the Jedi rules than any of them, anyways. So it's just like he it's cool to like think about that sort of stuff. I mean, heck, even in Phantom Menace, like he literally just flat out says to Anakin, "Oh, hey, the Jedi says they say I can't train you, so screw that. Basically, we'll just
Yep.
watch what I'm doing anyways and take notes." Like, you know, so it's cool seeing like Qui-Gon like do what he does, and I don't know, he's always been a character for me. Like to me, he's like the most like him and Ahsoka. I think are the most him, Ahsoka, yeah, like those two are probably the most pure form of Jedi in my opinion, like on screen. Um, but uh, but yeah, I mean that's why he's one of my favorite.
Yeah. And what about you, Milton? Do you have anything Star Wars conversations with family members, anything like that over the last couple weeks?
Um, no, more of like a purchase. So
Oh.
it was 2 weeks ago. It was a week of my niece's birthday party. My brother and I went out to this little like toy show collectible place, and they sell these vintage toys. I told you guys about this place before.
Yeah.
Yep.
He and I hung out. We went to this little thing,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy was selling a whole bunch of like Star Wars memorabilia, just in general, and he had like these books.
Whoa.
And so I was like, okay, let me see what he got. And I'm looking through, and he had the art of the prequel books, episodes one, two, and
Oh.
three.
Oh man.
And you know how expensive those books are. And
Yeah.
literally, he sold them to me for $15
Oh,
altogether.
Oh dang.
that is a steal.
I mean, they were still in great condition. Great condition. They're downstairs in my living room. They're in great condition. He's like, yeah. He's like, they're $5 a piece, so all three of them $15. And I was like, cool. I've right there, done. Paid for them. So I haven't read through them yet, but I really do want to sit down when I get the time to actually just sit down and look at it. It'd be kind of cool to go back, see the art work of those prequels, because I think that's something that I've never really not paid attention to, but really looked into deeply. Like I have the artwork for Rise of Skywalker, and I believe for Force Awakens. I need to get it for the Last Jedi. Um,
Mm.
yeah, it's cool that those books were just sitting there, and again, just for cheap. You try to find those books anywhere else, they're like 30, 40, $50 a piece.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
I would say those art books, more than any of the current Star Wars books, that not no offense to the art direction. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's Doug Chang as well. But anyway, so I wouldn't be slighting him really, I guess. But like that stuff back then was like mind blowing. Like seeing Naboo
Mhm.
Starfighter, seeing how everything was so sleek and shiny compared to the
Right.
dull and used universe of Star Wars. So like looking at those art books, it's like, oh my gosh, this is Star Wars. Like
Yeah.
this is crazy to see the concept designs of what they thought of was like this capital city of Coruscant and this regal palaces of Naboo and just the costume designs. Like that must look awesome, that book.
Well,
I should
a
check
lot, a
out.
lot of it was inspired off of Ralph McQuarrie too. I know, like
Oh, okay.
a lot of his work
Okay.
is great to look at. If you look at a lot of Ralph McQuarrie's artwork during the production of those original trilogy films, prequels took a lot of inspiration from that. Especially for designs that
Hmm.
they couldn't put into the original trilogy because of they didn't have the technology to make the Emperor's Castle or the city planet back in the 80s and
Yeah.
70s. So to then take a lot of those designs that Ralph McQuarrie did for Chang and all those guys to really just build upon that, it's a beautiful thing. I love looking at that type of stuff for Star Wars. So it was nice to see A lot of inspiration come to the folks to the center, but also too for these creators who were fans when those movies came out when they were kids to then play in the sandbox and put their own twist on it as well.
Oh yeah. So
So
there you go. Those are some pretty good Star Wars thoughts for the week. We have Jesse in the chat. We have Small Bento Sakura, coworker of mine. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us in the chat. And you guys all out there, if you're listening after the fact, go ahead, tune in on youtube.com/Starrapter every Sunday around 7 p.m. That is when our stream goes live, so you can interact just like those fine people in the chat. And you could also listen to us on any podcast streaming app of your choice, whether it be Spotify, Apple Music, Google, Amazon, anything. We're on it. Well, we're not on Stitcher anymore because I think that got completely deleted. But other than that, you'll find us just by searching Outer Rim Transmission. Out this week, not much. We got the issue of Vader that I already alluded to, Darth Vader issue number 37. It ties into the Dark Droid storyline, which I'm really enjoying for a crossover. It's really hitting its stride, even though we're only like 3 stories in. But I'm all in, I think, on that one with the dark possessing droids of the galaxy. But we are gonna get into this discussion proper. Without further ado, we're talking about Ahsoka. It's what's on everybody's minds. First off, a big one, a real big one. There was like a code red. Oh my gosh, sound the alarms. I don't know what day it was, a couple days ago. They had a fan event. I don't know why they didn't invite Outer Rim Transmission because we've been representing Star Wars for the last couple years, but whatever. I'm not going to go too feel bad for that. But anyway, after this fan event, apparently they're going to allow everybody around the world to watch Star Wars Ahsoka on Tuesday nights, prime time. So 6 p.m. Western time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Sorry for the people out there in the UK. It's probably going to be like 4 or 5 in the morning over there, I'm guessing.
Hey, now they've gotten the last however many years of Star Wars shows. It's our turn.
Yeah, so I know we've been shot from the rooftops for this chains for a while. But I want to get your thoughts first, Milton, on what do you think about this change rather than doing the 3 a.m. or 12 p.m. at West Coast time? I think you might be muted.
there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I think it's smart.
Yeah.
I think it's different. Because normally everyone's used to the Wednesday releases, whether it's with Marvel or Star Wars at this point, and I think with some of the sour taste, and I'll even say with Marvel fans too, with the last couple shows that they've released, and even with Star Wars, besides Andor, because Andor was a pretty successful show. Wednesdays are good days. However, I think this particular show is different, even from Obi-Wan, because this is a character that everyone really, really has fell
Yeah.
in love with the last couple years. I'll say the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka's popularity has really garnered a lot of attention and a lot of momentum. And with the success of Mandalorian, with the lukewarm reception of Boba Fett, and what they're trying to build in that Mando verse of kind of like their Avengers to build up to the Thrawn encounter, this show has to hit. And I think for
Mm-hmm.
them to even just switch it up for release is smart. You got to make it different. You got to keep this. You got to separate this for what we had most recently with Mando and with with Obi-Wan and with Book of Boba Fett. So I think it's smart that you release it on a Tuesday night, especially if it's good. You got all the reaction on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, because a lot of the people will put their reviews out literally within an hour after the show premieres. So you know damn well Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning, people are going to wake up with reviews on Twitter, reviews on YouTube, especially if it's great. Momentum is going to build more for sure, which is smart marketing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think just how we mentioned early on before the show started today, this goes back to even how like you look at shows back on HBO back in the day with The Wire,
Mm-hmm.
with The Sopranos, with Boardwalk Empire, with Walking Dead, how Sunday night
Mm-hmm.
at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, you were there to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next day, you talked about it at the water cooler. Obviously, the water cooler is on social media. So once you watch it, it's instant. Man, that show was effing fire, bro. Did you see blah, 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 blah? Retweet, repost, people cutting out clips to repost. Like, if this show hits as we're hoping it will, this is smart marketing to put it on Tuesday night. Because I'm not waking up to watch a show at 4 o'clock in the morning, as you guys know. I get up at 3:30 to go work out at the gym.
Yep.
Okay, so then on top of that, with me getting up early in the morning to go work out, it's going to be nice to refresh it to say, oh my God, let me go check out some clips while I'm doing cardio.
Yep.
Oh, I like this from the night before. Let me refresh my memory.
Yep.
Or if you're working out in the morning, that's when you watch the reviews. You watch the reviews online.
Yep.
That's the smart way to do it. So, because I know that's what I do. If I watch, a game that, again, sports analogy, Sunday night football or Sunday football is coming up soon. Watch the game Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. What do you do the next day in the morning? Everybody's talking about the games. Yep. Yeah, they're talking about the games that happen. Man, did you see that game last night with the Cowboys or whoever? You see the Eagles game? But everybody's talking about it. All the sports networks in the morning are showing the highlights. Imagine YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all doing that. Like make that an event. I think it's great. Eat up the morning time with all those people who get up early to get their day started to talk about Ahsoka, especially the nerds out there. And hell, even the not super fans of Star Wars. Like, come on, it's smart.
It is.
And they must have confidence in the show to do what they're doing. That tells you something.
100%, Milton. Like, all your points are spot on because, if you think about it, think about it in terms of like convenience. Anybody, unless you're like a hardcore nerd, you're not going to watch the Star Wars show, the Marvel show, whatever, Wednesday morning before work. You're going to wait till Wednesday night or something after work. So now they can watch it Tuesday night after they've gotten off work. They're just chilling. They can watch Ahsoka till 10:30 or so, and this week, and then go to bed and then get up and go to the work the next day or school the next day and talk about it with their coworkers or their friends or whoever. So it's perfect in terms of marketing, and it's great they're not doing it just for the premiere. It's for the entire season, which I hope they continue to do. So you have those bonuses, and then you also have the bonuses, in my opinion, of the hardcore fans who are watching it in the middle of the night, like me. Okay, and a good example with me is Andor. I know a lot of people love Andor, but for me, I was waking up at 3 a.m. or actually I wasn't waking up, I was staying up until 3 a.m. to watch Andor. And, I was not liking it and not liking it and not liking it. And the thing is, me being tired in the middle of the night, it makes me a harsher critic. I admitted it on this show. When I gave up watching Andor at 3 a.m. and just started watching it in the mornings at 8 a.m., I was lesser of a critic because I wasn't tired and be like, okay, this better pay off or I wasted my hour of sleep, So it kind of shields them from potential a little bit harsher criticism, which in terms is good. People, then it gives you more flexibility with your shows in general. So hopefully they continue to do this schedule with all their shows. And then overall, you just get, I think, in theory, I would presume you probably get more viewership putting it in prime time versus having, people wake up and go, okay, wait, is this show on, obviously not for your brother Milton, but maybe I don't know, your dad, or someone who doesn't know Ahsoka's on Disney Plus, so they don't have to wake up and fiddle with it Wednesday night. So wait, is Ahsoka on Disney or Max or Hulu or where's Ahsoka at? So the general people, they'll be able to see Ahsoka, Star Wars show, Tuesday nights at 9. So I think
here's
you have
question,
that
though,
big
too,
thing.
to piggyback off that, Ben. What time are they releasing the show on Tuesday? Is it 6 o'clock?
No, every Tuesday at 9 Eastern, and 9 Eastern Tuesday, 6 p.m. West Coast time. So 9 Eastern, yeah. So it's like the prime time slot, So it's perfect timing. I mean, of course, the first week's episode, combined, it's without the credits and stuff, I think it's around 85 minutes. So we're looking at probably 9 to 10:30 range, and then you got the following episodes, I'm sure will be more in the 35-45 minute range. Right. So so we're looking at basically the 9 to 10 o'clock slot every Tuesday night.
if I only thing I would have criticized that would have been make it at 8 o'clock, just because it's the
Yep.
middle of the work week, and also too middle of school week because
Yep.
school's starting up. I mean, look, my my girlfriend's gonna be mad when I say this, but she starts school tomorrow. She works for she's an educator, but she has to start working this week. And so if you have parents who have kids that go to school during the week, and
Younger
they're, let's
kids.
say they go to bed by 9 o'clock, you're losing viewers.
Yep.
Hmm.
I
But
wish it
like
was
if you
8 because
start at,
Game of Thrones was 8 o'clock.
No, it wasn't.
yeah, if you start at
Was it?
8,
Oh, I was thinking it
it
was.
No,
was it
they're
was
always at
9.
9 o'clock.
Oh,
If you
was it?
started
Oh,
at 8 o'clock, especially like East Coast time, you can get those at that range of 10, let's say 8 to 12 year olds who
yep.
like the character, who will then watch it before they go to bed. And then they'll talk about it um, next day at school. Again, that's more marketing right there. So
Yep.
I think I would have shifted it to 8 o'clock. So that would be my only change of it. But I totally understand it being at 9, because of that prime time slot, and also too, now that football's starting, there's no way that they will put it on a Monday night at 9 o'clock because of Monday Night Football.
Oh,
There's no
it'd get
way they would do
destroyed.
that. Tuesday, and think about it this though: Tuesday's the only day throughout the year during football. There's no football.
Yep.
Like, honestly, like every day throughout the football season, there's football except for Tuesdays and sometimes Wednesdays.
Yeah, and Wednesday nights are usually, basically pre-gaming talking about the Thursday games. So like,
Yes.
it's just Tuesday night is a perfect time because that's more Tuesdays are always like for me like the slower day of football season, I would say, because all the other days are football related. So
Right.
it's good they're doing it in that regard. And yeah, it's just nice seeing them change up their strategies. That's another big thing
Yeah.
I think we gotta like highlight here on the show tonight is like
Right.
they're changing up their strategy. So like we changed up the time slot, which is huge. Like I just when the other day when I saw that news, I refreshed Twitter and it popped up and like I had to like triple take and read that. I was like, am I reading this properly? Like they're moving the time actually. Like they're actually after all these shows finally listening. So that was great. And I think just overall they're changing their marketing strategy because you have the time slot moving. You have I mean look at these little things like Chris you sent it in the group chat like that little 7-minute basically mini documentary they released. Like they're changing up the marketing so much for the show because they have so much confidence in this show like the importance of this show really for the for the Mandoverse and of course for the Mandalorian movie that's coming out like all of this stuff they're putting their eggs in this basket and then yeah, I mean, I think it's just like a big, change of strategies over there at Lucasfilm.
Yeah, so my take on all this is first off, I think you guys basically covered every point I was gonna say. So I got the ground covered there already. But just to kind of say, my thing is like event viewing. Like looking at Disney as a platform, I don't think they've ever really had anything like this. I'm surprised it took them this long to actually get something. It's like you look at how well Last of Us did. Every single week, The Last of Us gained gained more viewers because of the hype. You get behind the 9 o'clock because, like, I get most people might be, some people, like my family, we eat late. So, like, 8 o'clock, we'd probably be missing it, The, so, and it is still the end of summer. Well, I guess most schools probably are in school by then. New Jersey, it's a little later. But yeah, either way, like somebody's gonna get cut out. But the main thing is you're gonna get a lot more viewers at 12 rather than 3 a.m. or I mean 9 rather than 3 a.m. But it's cool because now you can have like viewing parties. So there's potentially more people that actually might watch the show. Because like myself, I'm gonna be like, well, I'm gonna have my mom watch with me because we usually watch at separate times. Like, oh, good, now we can actually watch it together. So you could potentially have, other people like, oh, what are you watching today? Oh, maybe I'll check it out with you. Like having that slot, having nothing else on that day is brilliant. Like you guys have already said, it doesn't look like anything else is coming out. I don't think there's any other big series because most of the time the big series will be coming out Sunday nights. So they literally have like free territory for all that buzz. And as you said, content creators like myself, I'm jumping on my editing software immediately after that, and I'm going to be putting out videos and stuff like that. And I'm sure they're going to track a lot better than the people that get aggravated when I put out videos and they're like, oh, you put spoilers in the title or whatever like that. Like, there's not as much of an excuse now, because if this thing is at 9 o'clock, there's gonna not every 100% of people are gonna watch at 9, but I would say the majority of the hardcore fans that want to know those details are probably gonna do their best to watch it at 9, and it's gonna be better for the overall community to be able to interact
Right.
all basically at the same time. Like, everybody goes on Twitter at like 10:30 after the thing, and blah 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 blah. Everybody's just gonna get that riding into the next day. So, yeah, it's great to see. It's fantastic
Yeah.
to
No,
see that they're
I
changing
don't
things up.
disagree. I
Yeah,
don't disagree at all.
yeah, yeah.
I think it's smart. I think that if I'm Kathleen or whomever is running, who's in charge of that marketing decision, final decision, I would say move it up to 8. But even that, if you still keep it at 9, it's still fine because you're going to get that traffic. And then look, it's 3 hours. I mean, look, it's all going to premiere at the same time. It's just 6 o'clock on the West Coast, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. Literally, 7 o'clock West Coast, 10 o'clock East Coast. Everybody's on Twitter. Everybody's on Facebook. Everybody's on, what's the other one that's linked up to Instagram, whatever it's called, Threads or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everybody's going to talk about it, especially if it's that great of an episode, which again, this tells you they have confidence in this show. So I mean, knock on wood, you guys can hear that. Hopefully it's great, because like I don't want this show to be trash. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, y'all know damn well how I am. If this show's trash, I'm gonna come on this episode next week and say this shit was garbage. Like, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I'm gonna say that because I don't want to lose credibility with our audience, especially if it's wishy-washy. I'm like, I'm not feeling, I'm not sure. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be bad.
If it is, I'll be moving to Oct 2 is all I gotta say. Like I hope it's good.
I just look, I said the same thing about Obi-Wan. I said there's no way they can mess that up. Now I'm not saying Obi-Wan was completely messed up. They definitely dropped the ball, but Ahsoka though, like, it's Dave Filoni, bro.
Yeah.
Like, this is his love child. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, him and George Lucas advocated for this character and made it special. Like, everybody loves Ahsoka. I don't know anybody in my circle that actually likes Star Wars that completely trashes Ahsoka.
Well,
I mean,
here. Go on.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say here. I mean, that's a good point. You're bringing that up. Like, so, it's to kind of get into like of our Ahsoka like discussing point here, or discussion part of the show. Like, for me, I was a person, at first I didn't like the character when she first debuted in the movie. I didn't like her early on in Clone Wars. And then, that's just a testament to like Dave's writing. I was definitely in like the majority of people that were like not liking her character. And due to her, like, the good writing, good character arc, good overall arc and character development to where she is now, like, she's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. So like that just shows good storytelling, good writing can change people's perspectives on Ahsoka. Like one of my good friends, he always brags to me, he was in the minority. He was in the loud minority of people that loved Ahsoka from the start. And he always like tells me about it. He's like, you were one of those haters. And I'm like, yeah, I was. Like, I didn't like her character to start. And then now, she's one of my favorites. And like, I'm so looking forward to seeing what happens with her in this series, because like, you see so many cool things in just in the marketing alone. And like, the good thing to think about too, guys, is like, most of the time this Disney marketing is only from the first 2 or 3 episodes. So it's like, we're getting a lot of cool stuff, like whether it be the lightsaber fighting, the ships, the characters themselves, like our Rebels characters. I mean, even the new lines from Hayden Christensen, like Anakin talking. Like, so what are we gonna be potentially getting, like an Anakin like ghost or something, or flashback, like in this show in the first 3 episodes? Because we're getting it in the marketing, so it's like they're already showing their hand that Anakin is involved in the series to some degree. So it just makes you wonder, the possibilities for this, like, especially since they're doing a 2-part premiere.
Right. Which I assume we're going to get into that later, because that's, I did watch that. I watched the clip you guys sent, and the one that was most recently that they put out, and then that little documentary. So I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it, Chris. I'll let you do your thing. So
Yeah, no, I want to talk about the clip because I forget what it's called, dual lightsabers or something. I thought it was just another teaser trailer, and I told you, Ben, I was like, I'm done watching these stupid things. It's coming out in a week. I'm done. And then I was like, all right, let me take a peek. Oh, this is a clip. Like, I'll watch the first clip for the show because it gives me a little bit of like, okay, this is promising, and it was very promising because I said, oh my gosh, like the Hera. I was not sold on Hera until I seen like an actual clip of. Um, Whatever the actress's name is. It's not
Obi-Wan's
who's
wife.
playing her. Yeah, there you go.
Obi-Wan's wife.
Yeah, but she had like it had the music, but Kevin Kiner was playing, and it
Yeah.
felt like Rebels. It felt like Rebels because it's like you have like multiple people doing different things at once in a mission. It's like Ahsoka's down there fighting this droid like a badass, and this Inquisitor's down there, and then you have them flying in atmosphere in the Phantom or whatever it's called, and then Chopper's doing his thing, and it's like this is literally live action Rebels, and I love the actress's voice, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I think she
Yep.
did a great job with just like the delivery of the line, even though it was like one line. It was like, oh, that's her right there. Like that the connotations of how she spoke and everything like that. I was like, okay, now I see it. Now I see it. And now I can move
Yeah.
past my gripe of like, oh, she doesn't look or she might not sound like Vanessa Marshall all the way. But I was like, yep, I got the vibes. I feel it.
Absolutely, this is where I think, and before I get into about that clip, this is where I think a lot of people need to understand, especially like when it comes to live action versus animation. Obviously, the actors and actresses who voiced them in the Clone Wars, they're voice actors for a reason. Unless like they're established stars like Sam Jackson, who's come back a couple times, Christopher Lee before he died
Billy
came back a
D.
couple times, Billy D, Ian McDermott, like they're great actors who can transition into both. Mark Hamill, same thing. So I'm fine with the voice actors staying in their lane versus the live action actors who are doing it, as long as they keep true to the character. I don't really care about the voice. I mean, it's like look at Hayden versus Matt Lanter. I mean, they're both different types of actors, but the character's pretty much consistent. And hell, it's got a lot of growth since Matt Lanter came in to voice Anakin, which is great. Um, but about the clip itself, it's a great clip. I mean, that's Hera. That's Hera from
Oh,
Clone Wars. Like, I mean, to me, I see no difference except for she's now a live action person that I can potentially physically touch.
Yep.
Um, Chopper's Chopper. We all know who he is. He's a prick. So I expect that. And obviously Ahsoka wrecking. This is what I'm talking about. Ahsoka wrecking people. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
It should not be her struggling against an Inquisitor because she's already proved that she's more powerful than a lot of these Inquisitors. They're not that great unless they're fighting an amateur Jedi. She was trained by Obi-Wan freaking Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker and Yoda. She should not lose
and
much.
Plo Koon a little bit.
And Plo Koon.
Yeah.
So
Like,
if anyone tries to tell me, oh, Ahsoka's OP, she's too powerful, look at her teachers, bro.
she should be.
She should be nice. Like they showed that in the last season of Clone Wars, how Anakin would how they showed how she was trained.
Yeah.
He did not take it easy on her. So when you have one of the greatest Jedis who then transitioned to one of the most terrifying villains of all time, train you up, you better be nice. You know what I'm saying? You better not lose many fights. So to me, it just makes sense to see how she moved, how she used the sabers. She doesn't seem to struggle for the most part. I'm sure there's some battles here. Like when she faced that Balin guy, I can see that being a difficult fight because he's been around for a minute. Like you can definitely tell, even when he says, "Hey, before Anakin became who he did, the jet, whatever he says, he's been around the block." So I'm sure he's got a lot of training, a lot of knowledge that that she probably doesn't know about. So that makes sense that battle will be somewhat difficult. But going up against some regular Inquisitor, nah, she shouldn't struggle. So I love the clip.
Yeah.
I loved hearing Hayden. God, man, I got the goosebumps.
Yeah. All right.
It's amazing.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, Ben, I don't know if you told me about. No, it was Heather Rayside. Had her as a guest on the show. I actually tuned into her stream that was like early our morning, our time, and it was so funny because she was pulling out the whiteboard and she was scribbling down.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like,
I watched that too.
That's good Star Wars digging right there. That's good Star Wars speculating and theorizing. It's just breaking out the whiteboard. I loved it.
Oh yeah, it was funny. So So I had actually gotten up. It was just as she was actually getting done streaming. And the only reason I knew it because I got up. It was like at 4:15 to get a drink, and I looked down at my phone. I was like, "Oh, Hannah's streaming. I wonder why she's streaming." And I thought normally she only streams in the middle of the night if there's a trailer released or something. And I was like, "Oh no, is there a Ahsoka trailer that's out?" And I quickly look at it and watch it and was like, "Oh my gosh!" Because I see like your messages, Chris, and then I have like my cousin sent me messages in the middle of the night saying, "Dude, there's a new trailer out." Blah 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 blah. So like I watched it real quick and was like, "Holy smokes!" Like. So I knew instantly, like as soon as I saw that notification, I was like, "Uh-oh, there must be a trailer out." And then just the fact that like Hayden's back, like that they're not even hiding it. Like that's the cool thing. Like it's like, hey, it's
That's
out
smart.
there. It's out there. It's smart. Like the thing is, you don't need to be secretive about this stuff. Like this isn't like. This is this isn't J.J. Abrams stuff. Like this is Star Wars. Like fans know Anakin would be involved, and it gets your normie type people that are like, oh, Anakin's in this show, maybe like as a ghost or something. Like you get your normal people that aren't following heavily. Like you get those type of people excited about potentially seeing Anakin again. So like, I think it benefits them in every way possible. So like, I don't see why not. Like, and then. Like I said, it's just an overall new strategy for Lucasfilm. Like, this trailer, the new time slot, the marketing, I just thought this trailer was genius that they released it, and the fact that it was like Hayden talking, like, gotta love it, and I can't wait to see what scene we actually see that play out in.
So,
Yeah.
Even talking about it now, like your boy's got the goosebumps right now. Because again, I love that scene. Like I can't wait for it. Because all I envision is Jedi's tale, or the Tales of the Jedi, when the episode when Ahsoka was being trained. I think of Matt Lancer's voice when he's talking to Ahsoka during the blaster training, and I think of them recreating that scene, but a different type of training with Hayden now, saying, "Okay, I'm going to prepare you. My job is to prepare you. I won't always be there." And I can't wait for that because I just want to see. It's going to be a young actress playing Ahsoka, I think, for those flashback scenes when they show that. And Hayden, I cannot wait for that because I want to see them both fight each other. I want to see Hayden really be a mentor. And it's like, my God, dude, like, this is really going to then complete Hayden. I think Hayden's arc is playing that character.
I think
like, now that he's finally going to be with Ahsoka, and it's like, oh my God, it's truly going to make Revenge of the Sith even more like special. You know that they were together at some point.
I love how Hayden Christensen sort of sounds a little bit like a melding of obviously him and Matt Lanter. I think it's because the dialogue of Dave Filoni, the way it's written, it just oh yeah, you're gonna be facing more than battle droids or whatever the heck the line was that's insinuated it was during the Clone Wars and teaching her. But just the fact that like Lucasfilm acknowledges that literally almost a year, it was probably over a year ago that we had that report from Hollywood Reporter saying he was going to be in it. So they finally got around to be like, all right, we acknowledge that he's in it, but we're not going to actually show you him. It's like, all right, this is our acknowledgement that we can hear him. We know it's new dialogue. Our Star Wars brains kick off and say, we've never heard this line of dialogue before. This is for this show, but at least we don't see it yet. It's going to be... Can you imagine him in the Clone Wars gear, though? Like, actually seeing him in the Clone Wars armor? That's going to be crazy.
Well, think about this, guys. We've talked about this, like, not this past November, but like November of 2021, actually, like our first year of podcasting, I believe is when it was. But we talked about it that first winter when, remember, Rosario was like November, December. Rosario posted a picture of her and Hayden and was like, it's great to be working with you, Sky Guy, or whatever. And then she deleted it. And it was like, it's like, what was that? And then, like 7-8 months later into that year, they... Hollywood Reporter was talking about it and all that stuff. So it's like, we go from Rosario leaking it to Hollywood Reporter and then all these things. And then now, like, we're finally here and they're like, yeah, let's just embrace it and just say, yeah, he's in the show.
As they should. Like we're not stupid. It's 2023. We can figure out anything. Like, I'm telling you, like.
Everybody has a phone.
Exactly. And there's how many leakers out there, how many quote unquote, sources out there that
I know
has information. But say you know a couple of them. I'm sure, Chris, you got a couple people in your life, and that you might know. But it's like, I guarantee they have Jason Ward, your boy, Ben.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has things that he hasn't told you yet.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure
no,
he
I mean,
does.
oh yeah, no, I mean, so like I've asked him before about certain things, and he said, he knows stuff about the show that he hasn't leaked intentionally because he doesn't want it out
Yes.
there. Like,
Right. And I'm sure we'll get into predictions later.
yeah.
But there are things about this show that I don't need to know because here's the thing. I actually want to go into it surprised because one,
Mm-hmm.
I love Hayden. Like I'm one of the Hayden champions. And this going back to 2005 when I was 18.
Yep.
Hell, 2003, 2002 when I was 13, 12, 13. You know what I'm saying? So like I'll always rock with Hayden Christensen as Anakin. So if anyone tries to tell me he was trash, miss me with that. I'll tell you to your face, you're stupid. Because he was a great Anakin. He did what he did with what the material that he was given. Is George Lucas the greatest writer? No. Is he the greatest director? No. But he's a hell of a storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
Anakin or Hayden, who at the time was like 20 years old,
Mm-hmm.
he's a young actor. He did what he needed to do as an actor. So like I'm
Yeah.
always been championing him, and I love that he's getting the opportunity to work with a seasoned veteran who knows Star Wars. That's the thing. Dave understands and knows Star Wars, and he understands Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka's relationship, which is going to be great to see in this, whether it's
Yes.
Well,
flashbacks or Force Ghosts.
well, the interesting thing that you say that you bring that up about like the writing with Lucas and stuff, as I like have gotten more and more like into movies and everything over the years, it's when you watch Attack of the Clones and when you watch Revenge of the Sith, I finally like it finally clicked for me like Hayden's acting and the writing. It finally clicked when you start thinking about it because it's like, man, if you think about the way Vader talks in the original trilogy, like I could hear Anakin talking like the way Vader talks in the original trilogy, but
Oh.
also like the Hayden lines from like Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith. Like you could imagine Darth Vader saying those things. Like when Anakin's talking about slaughtering the Tuscans, when he's like, "What have I done?" Blah blah blah. Like that whole thing. Like you could hear Vader saying that sort of stuff. So it's cool to like, once you like really like think about it and like comb over it, it's like, man, like it's consistent with the Vader character from the original trilogy. So it's cool to like kind of see that. And then like you said too, Milton, it's just so like I don't know, it's just so special they're bringing Hayden back. It really is. Like I think that's another part of it, like moving to prime time as well, of course, like all these other things we've talked about, but like I think the fact that they're bringing Hayden in, and then also the fact that it's like a prime time like Jedi type show. Like, like that's a big thing I think for general audience members. And then, you know, you have like the introduction of, let's say, all intents and purposes, like the Thanos of the Star Wars universe being Thrawn, like getting introduced in this series at some point, which they have to get the general audience on board with him because he's going to be the villain of their movie. So like you have to, if you're expecting the general audience to come out for a movie, you have to get them on board. Like you can't just throw Thrawn into the marketing for the Mandalorian movie and hope they show up. Like, you have to give them a reason to. And this is kind of like their pseudo MCU introduction of Thanos.
Right.
Yeah. I do want to say, I think, Ben, you mentioned this a little bit, how great the marketing has been for this series. I mean,
Excellent.
I think they are putting so much into it. Well, one of the big reasons is because of the strike, and literally they can't get their actors to go out and actually promote it, which is a travesty. Like, you should be having Rosario Dawson and
Dave.
everybody should be on all these talk shows, really drumming up and getting their flowers for
Well,
hopefully
just
how
think, hey,
awesome this
just
is going
think
to
that.
be.
Well, just to throw out there real quick, Chris, and I'll let you continue. Just think when that Hayden trailer got released, the way they would have done normal marketing, they would have had Hayden Christensen on one of these shows releasing that trailer, talking
Yeah.
about it. So, like, but they can't do that now. So, yeah, continue though.
Yeah, so I'm really liking how this feels like the promotion of a movie. I feel like Mando season 3 really didn't even get that much promotion. It was like I'm so done with Mandalorian promotion because it's not been that great for me at all. Like the trailers never really sell me the way that they sold me for this Ahsoka trailer. Like this seems like it's getting that treatment that a movie would. Like you're getting that clip which really sells you. You're getting awesome dialogue in a little TV spot. You're getting a trailer that reveals Thrawn and reveals that Sabine is actually the apprentice of Ahsoka. You're getting TV spots where Ahsoka is like sparring with Sabine and teaching her. It's like this stuff is awesome, and just something about it, like you said before, about the 7 minute like little documentary. We never got anything like that for Mandalorian. It just seems like they're
I
putting everything into this series because I think another reason why is because we're not going to get Star Wars. I hate to say it, probably the rest of the year. I really don't think at this point that we're getting Skeleton Crew. This
it's
freaking
off the
strike.
calendar.
The strike is going on way too long at this point. Um, and besides Loki, they're not going to really have much either. So I think, Disney Lucasfilm is putting the most promotion they can in this because they simply need to at this point. The last couple of things they've put out have not really been that inspiring for people. So if they're going to go away for a while, they got to go off with a freaking bang. And that means they got to get as many eyes on this stuff as they possibly can. And, like I'm seeing the TV spots on TV, just walking by constantly in the gym and all this stuff. Like, this stuff is out there. The eyes are out there.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think this show, I think it will be successful. And again, we'll get into this with our predictions. But I think the marketing piece of it has been, I wouldn't say perfect. I think that's too much pressure and that's unfair. I would say it's done its job. I would say I haven't been disappointed with what I'm seeing because they're not, again, I don't really know what's happening with this show. I don't know the entire plot. I know they're going to be looking for Thrawn. I know Ezra is someone they're looking for. I don't know what Hayden's role or Anakin's role is going to be. Exactly. I mean, I know he's in the show. He's going to be have some type of impact. But how is this show going to end? I don't know how this season is going to end. Are there going to be multiple seasons? Is it going to lead into other things? I don't know. I mean, we know there's a plan in place. But that's the smart thing about this marketing is that they haven't released too much to where it's like, okay, I know the whole entire story. I can make a significant educated guess that this is how it's going to play out. So
Yeah. So let's talk about what we hope, what we expect from the series. We talked all about the marketing, the trailers, TV spots, and all that stuff. Let's get a little bit deeper into
yeah.
where do we hope this is going to take our characters, simply put, because that's the most
Well,
important thing.
I'm gonna start this off first. So I've said this before. I think I said it maybe like a couple years ago, whenever we were talking about Clone Wars at one point. But actually, it was about the movies, and I think I said about this could be used in the movies if I was trying to bring in like a young Luke or young Hayden or whomever. The world between worlds. I think we're getting that in this series. I truly believe that they're going to bring in the world between worlds. Um, Somehow they're going to show us different potential things that happens. Like if let's say they may show like Ahsoka's going to, because she's going to be tested with her emotions of how things played out with Anakin. Because when she sees him, whether it's in like a Force Ghost, or whatever, she's going to ask questions about, listen, like what, like why did you do what you did? I can see them showing what potential outcomes could have been. Like if she would have went to Mustafar, if she would have been the one that would have went there instead of Obi-Wan, or let's say instead of her fighting Maul to capture him, let's say she went off to help get the Chancellor. You know what I'm saying? Like I could see them showing like those different outcomes and possibilities, which would be kind of dope because then that could say, well, listen, Ahsoka, no matter what you would have done, Anakin would have still became Darth Vader. Like that was the ultimate outcome. You really couldn't have changed his destiny. He was always destined to take that path. He was always destined to then redeem himself, and destroy the Emperor, bring balance to the Force. So that's what I would want to see. I think that'd be a great way to tell that Ahsoka story, and also too to get her emotions and see how she is during this time because that's trauma for her too. Like we haven't really got into her trauma as losing her master, losing her family and the Jedi, losing like her not having that relationship with Luke and Leia. I mean, those are pretty much her nieces and nephews. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I would love to see that.
Yeah, for me, I think what I would like to see is, and they've been promoting the heck out of this, and I haven't really ever guessed this would happen, was just the master apprentice relationship. I think we're going to really dive in deep to that because that's been part of the marketing forefront is Sabine getting trained by Ahsoka. Um, so I think we're going to see a lot of comparisons, which is why the flashbacks are probably going to come in to compare how Anakin trained Ahsoka and how Ahsoka's training Sabine. And we've seen in Book of Boba Fett, how Ahsoka, oh no, Mando season 2, how Ahsoka didn't want to train Grogu. She's like, yeah, something must have not worked out or something like that, right? So I want to dive in deep into her psyche, knowing that she left the Jedi Order, knowing that her master fell to the dark side. What is that like? How does she get inspired to train Sabine? And I guess, the big question is Sabine just training in forms of martial combat, or she actually has some force sensitivity and she's going to be utilizing the force to some degree to augment her abilities? I don't know. I think that's going to be one of the biggest questions we have going on in here. Yeah, so I mean, this show is called Ahsoka. We're seeing that it's a lot more of an ensemble. We're seeing that Hera's got a big part in here. She's trying to convince the Senate of the New Republic, Mon Mothma and all, this is a threat. We cannot just sit back on our laurels and not really worry about it. Like, we got to get involved. So the main thing is, I just hope we get out of this something that we don't know about Ahsoka. Obviously, if the show's called Ahsoka, that should be the forefront of it, and all the other stuff will still be important but ancillary. Ben?
Yeah. Well, to bounce off both of your guys' points real quickly, an interesting point about the master and apprentice thing, point out there. So for that little documentary, it's cool. They have them talking master and apprentice about all the other ones, and then you got them talking about, of course, Ahsoka and Sabine. See, like, I've kind of like flipped camps a lot on this Sabine force sensitivity thing. At first I was like, nah, they're just showing their hand, just to trick us and blah blah blah. But then when you have like Dave talking about it in that documentary and stuff, maybe like they put that out there also to like soften the knee-jerk reaction of fans going, oh my gosh, she has the force, you know what I mean? So like maybe it's actually going to be her having the force, or like, maybe just a little bit of the force. So like I think there's that possibility. And then also I think another cool illusion, especially, when you listen to like how John talks to, when they're saying like master and apprentice, like the way that plays out, like it's indirectly like calling like Lucas the master and Filoni the apprentice too, when you're listening to that little documentary. And it's cool. Like, I love the story so much from Dave, about Lucas, when Lucas was like, Anakin's gonna have an apprentice, and Dave like corrected him and was like, no, he doesn't have an apprentice, like in any of the comics books or anything. He's like, well, he has an apprentice. And like I love that he's like, well, he does now, basically. And it's great. Like, from Dave's point of view, he had to probably thought, oh no, I'm probably about to get fired here or something, correcting the boss of the company. But it was cool, like, hearing that little story. So yeah, I mean, you have that take on those. And then like the World Between Worlds thing, that's an interesting one, Milton. I think you made a lot of good points there. Like, I think we're gonna get it. If I had to guess, like, I would say most likely. Also because, if you look at just like the logo, the Ahsoka, the O on Ahsoka, it looks like the World Between Worlds portal, like the way it's just drawn up. So and especially, I mean, I just watched the Rebels finale and the final few episodes of Rebels today, and like it looks like the portal for the World Between Worlds. So, I think there's a lot of things there. My little prediction, it's like a 5% prediction, but I've said it ever since we like came across this idea of World Between Worlds. Dave famously said Ahsoka doesn't have to be dead to like talk through the Force to Rey. And I think there's a chance, if we go in the World Between Worlds, I think there's a chance like she's not gonna like reach out to Rey and be like, Rey, like, like use your power or something. But I think there's a chance he could, like, if she's say going through the World Between Worlds, maybe they indirectly add her saying Rey somehow. Like maybe she says who's Rey, or who's, like, I don't know, like, and the word Rey comes out of her sentence and it goes into the whole sequence we see in Rise. Like, I think there's a 5% chance of that. That's kind of like my little bold prediction. But yeah, and then like in terms of what I'm expecting out of the series, like you both mentioned, like I can't wait to see Hayden, or I can't wait to see like Anakin in this show. Like, I think it's gonna be great, whether it's be like a ghost or a flashback or whatever. And then you have the ancillary characters potentially with Anakin. Like Milton, off your point, like if there's flashbacks and stuff, or like even World Between Worlds looking, like we might see ancillary characters like a Captain Rex, like a like another just famous Jedi, like maybe like a Kit Fisto or somebody's thrown in, or heck, Dave's favorite character, Plo Koon. Like, those type of characters, you might see those guys and a potential flashback. So like there's those options that are out there. But yeah, I think those are like some of the best points, like even for me. And then I'm just excited to see how they build things up, you know, or overall just like the general audience, like getting them into this, and then just like the live action Rebel sense. But just like
Yeah.
you know, there's pressure on the show
Mm-hmm.
indirectly to they have to sell Thrawn. Like Thrawn has to get sold to the
Yep.
hardcore fans who are going to criticize him, but they have to sell Thrawn to Chris's mom who's going to be watching too to get her to the theaters in what 5 years or whatever. So like I'm most excited to see how they do Thrawn and like how they're going to like get to Thrawn, cuz Thrawn, you know, from what we've seen in Rebels, I mean, they're presumably like, I don't know, I mean, Legends fans know it, but like they're pretty much in the unknown regions, like, you know, basically from what it seems like. So like, how are they going to get to basically the unknown regions from where they're at right now to even get to Ezra? Like, like those are all like interesting checkpoints to
my
see
gosh.
how we even get there.
Yeah, I just want to see the unknown regions in live action TV. I never would have thought I could say that, but like, there's a strong possibility that we might actually see the Chiss Ascendancy with Admiral Arlani and Eli Vanto and like, all those guys, and like, that's a whole nother quarter of the Star Wars universe. Like, the unknown regions are actually larger than lesser space, which is what the known space of Star Wars is, according
Yep.
to the Star Wars Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy books. It's like, oh my gosh, if they start like bringing that lore into like the mainstream, you guys are gonna freaking lose your
Oh,
minds with the.
Chris, um, one of my friends, Star Wars Santa, he has a pretty good good YouTube channel as well. And his big thing, he's been saying it since we first got Ahsoka. He said he just prays they acknowledge in the Ahsoka series, like of course you have Thrawn coming in doing his big bad stuff, but like Star Wars Santa's thing is like he wants them to go in and just acknowledge, like have Thrawn acknowledge like there's a bigger threat of like the Grist coming or something, and like
Yes.
you know that's what his Star Wars Santa's big thing is like, you know, just acknowledge the bigger outside threat, even bigger than like the Empire. So like it would be really cool to see if they like do a deep cut like that. Yeah, guys, I think there's a lot of different possibilities with this show just because, you know, like with Star Wars, like you know how it goes, Milton, with like a lot of the stuff like Mando, Obi-Wan, Boba, Andor, like it's kind of like layup stuff. We kind of can guess what's going to happen here, but with Dave Filoni, it's kind of like a wild card, almost like George Lucas. Like you know what I'm saying, Milton? Like he could like do anything basically.
Oh
I
yeah,
agree with that.
yeah. And one thing that I thought was interesting, I was under the assumption that Dave Filoni was writing and directing all 8 episodes, and I was gravely mistaken on that point because he is directing episode 1 and another episode. So he's actually doing just as many
Five.
episodes as he would be doing during the Mandalorian season. So I found that very interesting. But you have a large amount of awesome people involved with the series. Do not have the list pulled up right now, but I do know that Rick Famuyiwa is doing the final episode. So you know that that final episode's gonna have strong like lead into the Mandalorian season
Oh yeah.
4.
So yeah, Dave's doing 1 and 5. Steph Green, she's doing 2 and 3, I believe. So to me, and I don't remember the other directors. Of course, Rick Famuyiwa doing the finale is great. I've consistently loved his direction. Like to me, of course, we're gonna get Dave getting his movie. You know, you could easily see John getting a movie someday. But like Rick Famuyiwa, I feel like he has like the Star Wars feel. I could
Oh
easily
yeah.
see him getting a movie. Um, and then like with Steph Green doing like back to back episodes 2 and 3, that makes me think the second episode leads into the third one to some degree. And then like, you know, with Dave doing the fifth one, my guess, and mind you, also Rosario said in like one of the interviews or whatever that came out over this past week, like that fifth episode was like one of her favorites or something. So like obviously we get some big stuff in that one. If I had to guess, like I think that's where your World Between Worlds is going to come in, like your prediction, Milton. I think, because I don't know, you know, it'd be probably too early for the first episode. So I think the fifth episode feels more right for something like that.
Right.
Heck yeah. Yeah, we have a bunch of people buzzing in the chat room tonight. We have Jesse Bennett, a good friend of
Nice.
the show, and he had just finished watching Rebels for the first time on
Oh wow.
Friday to prepare for Tuesday. Talk about getting it to the last minute, Jesse. Holy crap.
Well, here's a question for you guys and even the chat. What do you guys think about potentially getting Vader in this series? Obviously not in like present day, but the thing is, we do hear Vader's breathing apparatus in
Mm,
one of those trailers. So, do you think we're gonna get um, something with Vader in the show?
I really hope not. I feel like Vader's
Yeah,
been
you know
so
what though? I
overdone.
agree. I really don't want him. I mean, and not because I don't like Vader. It's not that. It's
Yeah.
just this. Look, when I think of Ahsoka, I think of Anakin Skywalker. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, we got the encounter in Rebels season is it 3? No, 2.
Who?
Um, it's like no, I rather see Hayden and Rosario. I don't want to see no one. I don't want to see a big black suit. I just
I
want to see Hayden.
I will
Yep.
say, if they have World Between Worlds, I wouldn't put it past them to have like a quick glimpse at her fighting Darth
That's
Vader,
fine.
and
Which
like a
which
quick
would make
like
sense.
blink and you miss it, kind of like in the background. Like she looks to be like, yeah, I fought Vader, and everybody thought I was dead, and then I
Right.
entered the World Between Worlds. Like that could be like their little uh exposition, right? That exposition mode, giving information to the viewers, and if not Raw Troubles, like what the heck is this place? Why is time travel and Star Wars and all this sort of
Or
thing? Like,
or you can just show, like I said, the different outcomes of what if she made different choices. Like because again, like my father probably wouldn't know who Ahsoka is. I don't think. No, he wouldn't. Like if he says, "Well, this Anakin had an apprentice," yeah, Dad, and if I'm showing you what her choices would have been if she did X, Y, and Z. Oh, she didn't know he was Darth Vader. You know, he would think that. So again, I wouldn't mind if they showed it that way if they want to show the different outcomes of what Anakin becomes.
I would be interested too. Not even say from a fighting perspective. What if they show here's one. I mean, I just thought of this on the spot. What if they show us just like a little side angle? You know, we hear Vader's breathing. Doesn't mean exactly when potentially she would be seeing it. Like what if she sees in the World Between Worlds like Luke taking Vader's mask off or something? Like
Right.
maybe
That's
that.
fine. That's fine. Yeah, I don't.
oh,
Yeah, I don't need to actually see Vader do anything. Like
Yep.
I'm just like I'm not tired of Vader, obviously, because I watch Star Wars all day, every day if I could.
Yep.
But like I think with them trying to expand this character in this universe within this pocket of Star Wars, because this is that 5 to 7 year gap of like after Return of the Jedi. So like I want to get away from Vader because at this point Vader's not really relevant at this point. Like he's dead, so
Yep.
he's gone. Like yeah, he's had a significant impact on the universe, but now it's Ahsoka trying to figure out Thrawn. You know what I'm saying? So if they want to show him, fine, just make it like a quick like glance, like Chris said. It don't need to be a full episode of him. I don't need
Oh
that.
yeah. I think with Vader, if we get him in this series at all, it's going to be maybe like you said, Chris. It's going to be kind of like your exposition dump. It'll maybe like a 10-second quick like quick little 5-10 second thing in the World Between Worlds when she's walking around or something. But I don't think much more than that. But I don't know. I just feel like it's Dave too, though. Like Dave, I don't know. It just seems like Dave couldn't resist to work with Vader in live action. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It just seems like a Dave thing.
yeah, could be. I don't know. Do you guys? What last things do you have to say about Ahsoka? Are there any big theories? Any big kind of we'll talk about just like the guilty pleasures or like crazy like cameos or whatever things that don't really particularly matter to the story. Anybody got anything like that?
Look, if I say okay, we'll get into cameos real quick. If I wanted to actually see a cameo, wouldn't it be crazy if we got a type of cameo with Natalie Portman as Padme?
Oh,
Ooh.
oh,
You know, like let's say you get an interaction between Ahsoka and Padme again, world between worlds or flashback of like, and let's say she knew about Padme and Anakin the whole time, like she found it out. Like we got a scene of that. She just never said anything. Like okay, that'd be something I didn't predict. I'm like, oh my god, like she knew.
hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and no one said anything. So if we got something with Padme of Natalie popping up for a good minute scene, Anakin and her getting together, and Ahsoka in the background, she happens to spot him
Ah,
making out in the corner. Okay, cool.
there you go. Marvel got her, Disney got her on the payroll for Thor Ragnarok. Maybe that was part of the deal. It's like, oh, you'll be in Thor, but you got to do a 5-minute thing in Star Wars. Okay, that's how we do it.
Hey, I mean, to add a little credibility to that, Milton, like speculative wise, like Natalie Portman, like hard denied Star Wars hasn't contacted her in years, so maybe that was part of it, like covering it up.
Yeah, for me, I think it's already been said. If they make any reference, if we go into the unknown regions at all, if we mention anything about, uh, Grisk or anything like that, something like pie in the sky kind of thought would be like, what if we get a scene between Luke, Ahsoka, and Force Ghost Anakin? That would just like rule so hard, man. If we got those three
Yeah. No,
characters
that'd be
together.
that'd be pretty badass if you got a young Luke, because now the technology's there to
Yep.
bring him in.
Yep.
Like again, I don't think we need him. But if they somehow said, okay, let's somehow bring in Luke to assist her on the side, something, and all of a sudden Hayden pops up as a ghost. Because I mean, he's seen him already, like at the end of Return of the Jedi. It wouldn't be shocking, but just to see that dialogue though, would be kind of dope.
Yeah, I mean, those are good predictions for me. Oh, let's think of a out on a limb prediction. I mean, I could see this happening. Maybe not in the Ahsoka show, but I guess this would be more for the movie. But I think long term, eventually, whether it be in this Ahsoka show or the movie, I could see Dave just like out of pure like creative ego wise and just like creativity wise, I could see Dave eventually wanting, whether it be this show or his movie, to get us a picture of Han, Luke, and Leia with his Rebels crew. Like, so you get his creations with George's creations all on screen together. Like, I think I could see that potentially being like a mural for the Mando movie or something, like, or like just something. I could see that happening long term. Maybe not in this series because the series is just leading up to Thrawn. But I could see that being like a more bigger term plan. But in regards for this show, oh man, a big picture thing for me, or a big prediction thing for me would be just, yeah, I mean, seeing some of those type of big unexpected cameos. Like, think about it. Like, we already know Mon Moth was in the show and stuff. So what's to say Leia and Han aren't there? A pregnant Leia and Han aren't there potentially.
Oh.
Think about
Ooh.
that. Like what if because that lines up perfectly with the timeline for Kylo's
Yep.
age, basically. So who's to say
He was
a
born like
pregnant
a year
Leia?
after Jedi.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, he
saying,
was.
who's
He'd
to
be
say?
like 4 or 5 years old at that point.
Yeah, or who's to say? Yeah, or what if Han and Leia show up with a little boy, like a 4 or 5 year old little boy with them? Like, I could see like that being kind of in my bold prediction range of like, and it's not even like that far of an out there prediction, just because it's
No.
like I could
Yeah.
conceivably see that happening, and then yeah, like I don't know, I just think with Dave, like there's a lot of wild cards like that. Also to throw out there as well, guys, along with those characters, like of course our iconic characters, do you think any of Dave's other creations, or do you have any predictions? Like, who do you think from like say Rebels or Clone Wars could make an appearance? Like for me, if I had to go out on a limb, like a wildcard prediction that I would like selfishly want, I would love like to have Hondo in this show. Like just throw Hondo in for some type of a cameo. Like I would love to see Ahsoka like look for information and like have to go to Hondo for something. Like
Yeah, it can't be that difficult because again, we have a live action version of him in Florida and in California on the Smuggler's Run ride, right? Like you got the full live action mannequin version of himself there, so it's not hard to just put somebody in that same suit and just have him like VO'd by the guy that does Winnie the Pooh.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess to make a prediction like that, who's the boy that Ahsoka was into? He was like a young senator.
Oh,
or young,
okay. Well, I'm gonna have to
You know what
push
I'm
up
talking
the
about?
yeah.
I forget his name.
I'm gonna have
Oh,
to
man.
push up the invisible glasses on my nose right now because
Yeah.
well,
I forget his name,
according
but that kid, Like, because I know they were like
yeah,
he was in like government. He was like in Young Government or Junior Republic or something.
yeah.
And like, was he bad or his family was bad or they were
He
like separatists
was
or something?
part of this.
Yeah,
His mother was part of the separatists, and she was killed.
yeah. So
He
that
is
character,
dead.
he came back.
He
Did he
is
die?
actually dead in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 tie-in novel Inferno Squad. He was killed
Didn't know that.
because he was part of like the early rebellion, and Iden Versio and Gideon
Oh,
Hask and all them like infiltrated a rebel cell, and he ended up being like the person in charge way at the end of the book. And I'm sorry if I spoiled it, but this book has been out for almost 10 years.
now you're
So
good. I
basically
had no idea.
he got killed in the end. Ida Versio, I'm pretty sure, was the one that killed him because that was her mission.
Okay, then never
Uh,
mind. Then there's my
yeah,
prediction.
that was a good guess though, because you're not the first person I've heard that mentioned that. Yeah, it's like yeah,
Yeah,
he
but
Lux Bonteri.
Now,
as long as I don't care who they bring in, as long as it's justified and it
Yeah,
makes sense for the story.
now, just one more question as well. Talking prediction ideas and stuff. So, what do you guys think about Jedi predictions? Like, say, through the world between worlds or flashbacks, what have you? Like, for me, I think, like, if I had to go out on a limb, I think this would be the perfect opportunity for Dave to like get Plo Koon
yep,
into something like that. It's either to me, it's like Plo Koon, like some of those prequel Jedi, I think could be popping up maybe.
yeah. Plo Koon. Let's get another appearance of Ahmed Best as the Saber Hand himself back in
Yep.
there. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of potential for Jedi. I'll say throw Quinlan Voss in every single time because we know he's alive. Well, actually, no, we don't
I
know he's
mean,
alive. He could be
what if
dead
we
at
got
this
a
point.
scene just with the Jedi Council? Like, let's say the Jedi
Oh
Council is
man.
controlling Ahsoka. Like, let's say it's around the time when she gets expelled or she leaves the Order. Or what
Hmm.
if we got a live action version of that? That'd be a dope ass scene to see that perspective in live action of when she decides to leave the Order. You know,
Hmm.
and then you have Sam Jackson coming back, Frank Oz. You know, you can get different actors to play those other Jedi aliens because they don't have to see their faces. Um, Ewan as Obi-Wan, like MC, you can do it. Like that'd be kind of fire.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you have the council members potentially. I think also the easiest one. I mean, I'm sure plenty of people have talked about it by now. You already have him there, like dealing with Lucasfilm stuff. Like Ewan is Obi-Wan in a flashback. Like if you have Hayden
So,
potentially, like just imagine like if we would see Hayden, like it's just the Rebels scene or the Clone Wars scene everybody wants. Like Hayden in Clone Wars outfit, Obi-Wan in the white Clone Wars armor. Like I would or Ewan in that. Like that would be incredible.
yeah.
Wow. We got a couple speculation. We got some speculation in the chat. We have Dark Nerdy Gonzo. It's great to have you on the chat, man. I know our new time slot is not lining up with your schedule, but we're happy that you were able to make it tonight. Would like a Palpatine or early Snoke cameo with Exegol. Okay,
Yeah.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's an interesting
that would
one.
be really cool because we know they're trying to tie
Snoke would
into
make
First
sense. I
Order.
think I think Snoke would make sense. That's a
Mm-hmm.
good one because Snoke could be. You said it ties into a Thrawn movie, correct, Ben?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's where it's leading to is the Mando
Right.
movie.
So I mean, look, Snoke could be on the strings. I mean, I know Snoke was quote created by Palpatine, which is ridiculous, but yeah, like Snoke could be around, which would make sense. Or this is the early start of Snoke, so I like that idea.
You know, guys, I wonder too when it comes to this whole like stuff with potentially Snoke. Obviously, we know Snoke's a clone and whatnot, but it makes you wonder if like say like if we get like Snoke involved with this show to like even a little bit. I mean, we have him hinted at in Mando. We the cloning stuff obviously, and then we have like I think a lot of this stuff is like doing almost a lot of the dirty work for the sequel trilogy to like help buff them up a little more like the Clone Wars did for the prequels. Um so I think we are obviously going to like lead to the whole Snoke cloning thing eventually. Um but it makes me wonder if Dave and John are going to frame it in a way because Dave's talking about taking so much inspiration from a lot of like the original Zahn books like from the 90s, and it makes me wonder if they're going to kind of frame Snoke in the pseudo Joris Sabayoth type
Mm-hmm.
clone thing
Oh.
like for Thrawn, because Thrawn in the original books like he has the clone Joris
Ooh.
Sabayoth, so it makes you wonder like if we do lead to the Snoke stuff eventually, like, is Snoke gonna be like kind of like the pseudo Jorah Sabayoth for canon, basically? Like, are they gonna basically kind of, work the puzzle pieces in a way to get it to fit? So then the sequel trilogy makes, more sense per se.
We got another one. Jesse Bennett is chiming to give us Belchi in live action. So that's the little compatriot of Hondo, the little Ugnaught. I mean, we've gotten Kjol. We could see a Melchi, another Ugnaught. We had Ugnaughts in season 3 of The Mandalorian again there. So why not? Why not? We have Dark Knight also saying zombie stormtroopers. I could see that. That'd be cool. It's like, yeah, give us a backdoor pilot for like Dark Troopers or Death Troopers spin-off. They go to the unknown regions. They have, like a one-off episode like Mando does where it's like, oh my gosh, somebody got infected and then we're bringing it back. And yeah, that's going to be way out of left field, but still, that'd be cool to see in something in Star Wars in the next couple of years. But yeah. Oh man, I think we had plenty of efficiency on this episode, just a little under an hour and a half, and we are able to really get into the weeds, whether it be the marketing or the actual content of what we expect, what we hope for the show. This is the big one, guys. This is like next to Mandalorian season 1 and 2. This is the most hype I think I've felt tangibly for a Star Wars series because it's got Dave Filoni and Ahsoka, but it's also got a long history of a beloved series, Rebels and Clone Wars and everything revolving around that. For what we see they did not, spare no expense, as Dr. Hammond from Jurassic Park puts it on this show, because I forgot to mention that this production quality looks so good in that clip. It looked like I'm watching a movie in some other series. Not gonna name names. It looked like they skimped out on that sometimes. Yeah, it looks like they skimped out on it sometimes a little bit with that one, but not this time. But yeah, thanks so much for being on the show tonight, guys. Milton, Ben, it's been a pleasure. And we'll see y'all back here next week, right? Both of you will be back here. We'll be breaking down. 1 week's time, we'll be breaking down episode 1 and 2 of Ahsoka. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it because I usually get off work around 4:30 every day. So by the time I get home around a little after 5, I'll be primed to watch it. And I'm off on Wednesday.
Oh, no way.
Is perfect. So I'm off on Wednesday, which is kind of nice. It's perfect timing. So me to actually stay up late, watch the episodes. Like, okay, this is what I really thought of it. Because you'll get my instant reaction once it's over.
Yeah, all right.
Awesome.
That's going to be fun. Everybody on there immediately like, oh, man.
Yeah, if it's fire, as I think it will be, I'll send you guys a voice one and be probably dropping a shit ton of F-bombs.
Those are always great. I always love your reactions, Milton.
Yeah, they get me hyped, man. They get me hyped.
Oh, yeah.
This was our hype check. I think we're all pretty hyped. What about you, Ben? Where can the people find you online?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Instagram, I usually post my fitness stuff at Real Ben Maynard, and then Twitter as well at Real Ben Maynard. I'll be just talking pretty much Ahsoka and Star Wars the next few days and probably for the coming week and stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time, and I can't wait to do it. And like it's awesome to think like the next time we're on here, we've already, all of us, our viewers, everybody, we've all had seen Ahsoka by then. So it's like, it's going to be a great start to our week because it's early part of the week. And it's basically watching a mini movie because, like I said earlier, combined, I believe it's about 85 minutes or so, 80 to 85 minutes without the credits. So it's nice that it's a good length. And yeah, it'll be a really good time. And also, Milton, since you hadn't said it, if you want to follow Milton on Instagram, it's Milton7Weber on Instagram, and then Milton Weber 7 on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
Actually, it's flipped. You said.
Oh, is it flipped? Oh, I was like, man, I thought I had it right. Okay, so flip that around,
it's all
guys.
Good. Yeah. Follow me on my socials. I'm pretty active on Instagram throughout the week, especially on my stories. But nah, I mean, for real, like, I'm hyped for the show. Can't wait. I have a fantasy draft this Saturday, and then it's, we're talking Star Wars on Sunday. So let's get it done. And actually, I just turn on the chat or the YouTube on my phone to see who was on it. And so we had a lot of like guys and people like interaction. That's pretty dope. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and once again, you guys could always join us for the lively chat talking about Ahsoka over the next 7 weeks. We go live every Sunday, just around 7 p.m. Eastern time. We go to about 8 p.m. Eastern time, approximately. So join us in the chat. Join us like Dark Nerdy Gonzo, like Jesse Bennett. We had somebody else new that I didn't recognize. Derpy Entertainment was in here. Chris Forsyth was in here. Jesse Bennett. Small Bento Secura, so thanks again for everybody. If you want to be involved with some positive Star Wars community members, this is your place. We are a safe place for really awesome Star Wars talk, and we hope you guys can join us
Yeah,
live to just
share it with
spread
your
things out.
friends, share it with your family. Like,
That's
we
right.
got you.
Yep, and
It'll
if
be
you can't,
good season of the show.
if you can't watch live, we're also available to listen to on the fly. So just search Outer Rim Transmission on any of your podcast streaming apps of your choice, and we'll be there a little bit after Sunday. Usually by Wednesday, I'm able to get that online. So, well, I guess it's not going to be the most beneficial now because you'll be having seen a new episode, but then having listened to the episode from the week prior. So I might have to figure something else out there, but I'll try to get that up as soon as I can. The problem is usually I'm in New York and then I can't have access to the computer at that point. But we will see. Anyway, so for Ben, for Milton, for Starrapter, for everybody that joined us in the lovely chat tonight, that's gonna do it for Outer Rim Transmission episode 118. Thanks for watching. May the force be with you. End transmission.